All right, well, I'm going to get the presentation started. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual August Coffee and Commerce event presented by Rick Franzo, the growth coach of the Poconos. At this time, I do kindly ask that everyone please mute your mics to limit any interruptions. I will invite you to unmute later in the program during the Q&A portion. In just a few minutes, we'll hear from Rick, and he'll address on how to grow your business and deal with some common challenges such as hiring, managing people effectively, generating cash flow, and time management. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to submit them in the chat section or wait until the end to ask them live during the Q&A session. I would also like to recognize Populytics as today's sponsor. Today with us, we have Thomas Young, Strategic Engagement Lead from Populytics. Thomas, thank you so much for sponsoring our 2021 Coffee and Commerce series. Without your support, we would not be able to provide such resourceful and relevant programs to our community. So without further ado, I would like to invite Thomas to offer us some sponsor remarks.
Thank you, Kaya, for the warm welcome, and to the Pocono Chamber for the opportunity to speak with everyone before this month's virtual Coffee and Commerce. Apologies, I do not have access to my camera this morning. I'm sure that we all can relate to technical challenges as we're all kind of shifting and working remotely. Now, while we all may be joining this live presentation from different locations or regions, I think that one thing that we share is how COVID has disrupted just about every aspect of our personal and professional lives over the past year and a half or so. While COVID continues to be a key topic of discussion and consideration for many employers, it's essential to recognize the importance to focus on a multi-pronged approach to keeping workers healthy, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, whether in the office or working remotely. Now, before COVID, worksite well-being was evolving into more than just an industry buzzword. Now it's an area that has evolved from simple employee perk programs to comprehensive packages giving employees incentives, tools, social and emotional support, privacy, and strategies to adopt and maintain healthy behaviors. Now, making investments in these areas not only supports the competitive recruitment process, but also has an impact on decreasing turnover, maintaining and restoring workplace well-being, and managing healthcare costs. With so many options available under the well-being umbrella, I encourage you to engage with Populytics to support future decisions about managing the well-being of your employees as your organizations grow and transform. Populytics is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Lehigh Valley Health Network designed to support the movement to value-based care. Value-based care places emphasis on evaluating the total cost of care for an employee population instead of just looking at a singular office visit or procedure. For Populytics specifically, we focus on connecting with employers across the network's footprint, including the Northeast Pennsylvania and the surrounding communities. In our conversations, we aim to provide education on the multiple approaches available both through services Populytics can provide, as well as those provided by the network at large. The ways in which Populytics engages with employers include strategic collaboration with Highmark on a joint insurance product called Lehigh Valley Flex Blue, which now features, just recently added, is all Lehigh Valley Flex Blue members are clinically delegated to LVHN, meaning enhanced care management by the very same level of providers you trust to provide you with the care you need. Behavior and emotional health support, coaching and consultation available through Preferred EAP, comprehensive corporate wellness solutions provided by Benefit Corporate Wellness, and occupational medicine services available locally through the LVHN Health Center at Tannersville. LVHN has invested in these resources for our own colleague base of 20,000 and growing. Our employee population has served as sort of a learning lab to test our services, to show them as effective before bringing them to market. Supporting your leaders in creating a culture of well-being that permeates the population is our objective with our services. Employers who are passionate about the health and well-being of their employees and are committed to a long-term strategic focus will maximize their benefits with us. Populytics and LVHN are only a phone call or email away as support for you and your organization. The Chamber team has my contact information, and I'm happy to serve as a resource for anyone who has questions about our services or would like a strategic conversation about how to leverage the resources available to you at LVH Pocono and across our network. We're privileged to have the opportunity to serve employers and communities in the Pocono market and look forward to working with you on your health and well-being journey. Thank you for your time and attention this morning. I'll hand it back to Kaya to move us on with the rest of the agenda. Thank you, Kaya.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Such great information. And to all of our attendees, I did include Populytics' additional supporting material that goes with Thomas's presentation this morning. So feel free to take a look at that if you haven't. It has some amazing information in there. So I want to say thank you so much to the entire team at Populytics on supporting our Coffee and Commerce series. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Pocono Chamber Board Member, Ambassador, and Value Chamber Member, Rick Franzo, the Growth Coach of the Poconos. So following today's presentation, the attendees will have an opportunity to have a one-to-one meeting with Rick on how you can grow your own business, which is one of the many amazing benefits of your Pocono Chamber membership. On behalf of the entire Pocono Chamber team, we're so appreciative to have Rick as such a vital part of our initiatives to help the business community grow and prosper. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rick. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kaya. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Keep your videos on. I do like to, see everybody that's in attendance. I'm going to share my screen. If you could pull yours down, Kaya, so that I can, there we go. Very cool. So I want to welcome everybody. This is the August Coffee and Commerce, and we're going to be keeping this pretty flowing and absolutely interactive. So if you do have something, drop it in the chat. But if you do have a comment, I want you to feel free to unmute and just kind of let it go, because I feel that that's where most of the business gets done, is when we have that interaction. And so I'm going to start off with what a coach is. And so how is a coach different than a consultant or a mentor? So when you have a mentor, they're the expert in what you do, and you're the expert in your business, not me. I'm the expert in getting you from point A to point B, helping you to get unstuck, right? That's what I do, is help businesses and organizations and professionals get unstuck. And so we've identified 4 major areas that are challenges for business leaders. But how do you describe a coach? And so I usually do it like this. I tell this little story, and it usually rings true. Guy was walking down the street, and he fell into a hole, and it was a deep hole. It was a steep hole, and you couldn't get out. So a little while goes by, and a doctor comes walking down the sidewalk, and he yells up, "Hey, doc, can you help me? I fell down into this hole. I can't get out of here." So the doctor stops, pulls out a pad, writes a prescription, throws it down the hole, and he moves on. A little while later, a priest comes down the road and says, "Hey, Padre, can you help me out? I fell down in this hole. I can't get out of here." So the priest stops, pulls out a pad, writes a prayer down, throws it down the hole, and he moves on. A little while later, I come down and walking down the road, and he yells up, "Hey, buddy, can you help me? I fell down in this hole. I can't get out." I look down there, and I jumped down with him. He goes, "What are you doing?" He says, "That was really stupid." He says, "Why'd you do that?" He says, "Now we're both down here." I said, "Yeah, but I've been down here before, and I know the way out." So that's what I do, is I help people to find strategies to get out of where they are. Okay. We're doing one of 2 things. We're either running away from pain or running towards pleasure. This morning, I'd like you to kind of take some notes, and I want you to kind of figure out what that looks like for you. I want you to take this time to do 3 things. I want you to use this time to really disconnect from everything else, and to think and plan and reflect on what it is for your business and your professional and your personal life. So I want to welcome you to this business growth retreat. I'm really excited about it. Some of the objectives we're going to have today are just what we talked about: to reflect, slow down, challenge your potential, discover some critical gaps or blind spots that you may have, and really establish some goals in 90 days. What that looks like for you, and we're going to talk about how to do that today. Why 90 days? Why do we do it in 90 days, not 6-month or whatever. Well, everything that we do financially is in quarters. So it's 90 days is when we should really evaluate, take a look at where we are, where we were, and where we're going. So in 90 days, your business and your life can change exponentially. So today I want you to invest this time on your business and not just in your business and your lives. So ask yourself these questions, okay? And I encourage you to take notes, put things into the chat that we're going to have a Q&A after this, right? Why did you go into business? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because you wanted independence? You wanted some financial freedom? Maybe your family is the driver. Maybe you have a passion for what you do. In fact, I say maybe, but I sure as heck hope you have a passion for what you do. I know a good number of people on this workshop this morning, and I know every one of you that I know has a passion for what they do. And no matter what business that you're in, I really want you to focus on one thing, is that we're all in the same business. And whether we do engineering, right, like John, or we are a nonprofit that helps veterans like Chris Yarnell, we all are in the same business, and that is providing solutions. We're in the solution business, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's really important to remember. It's tough to be in business for yourself or professional in these days. It got super duper tough, right? It leveled up completely. And so some of the reality that we have really got more intense. So what does that feel like to you? So some of the things that we identify as reactively tackling urgent matters instead of important matters, meaning we're just kind of all over the place and we're just putting out fires. And is that really what you want to do all day? And the answer, I'm sure, is no. Stuck doing everything yourself, feeling overwhelmed, looking at your to-do list at the end of the day and seeing that really you didn't get much accomplished. And maybe you don't have time to take a vacation or even take a breather. And so we're going to identify some strategies to address these things today. Anything that we're going to talk about isn't any kind of hokey tips or tricks or anything like that, because that's lousy advice. We craft strategy, okay, to get from point A to point B. So you really want to ask yourself the question, where do you want to be? What are your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations? Not what you're not really good at, but what are your skills? What are your strengths? How can you make yourself level up? All right. What do you need to do to get bigger, better, faster, stronger, and smarter? And that's today and playing long ball. What does that look like for you in the future? Maybe a year, 5 years, whatever that looks like for you. So as I said in the beginning, we're going to talk, the top business leader traps that we're going to address today are managing your time, growing your business, managing people effectively, and cash flow. And what we do is we do everything strategically. So there's a couple people here that I do coach, and they'll tell you everything that we do is strategic. It has to be, planned out, smooth and by the numbers. And we do it so that we have the strategy, we have the tactics, and we see what obstacles may stand in our way. So we have to adjust our mindset. And we hear that, and it's almost cliche when we hear it. But when we think about mindset, it starts and ends with you. You're responsible for everything that happens to you, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. So if you buy a yellow car, all you're going to see out there is yellow cars. If you think about opportunities, all you're going to see is really opportunities. They're going to seem to be coming at you. It's going to be a barrage. But if you feel that you're going to fail at something, and that's what you think about, I guarantee you 100%, you're going to find a way to make that happen. So you've got to have that mindset that you think like the CEO of your company, not an employee. And you've got to ask yourself, if you're a business owner, are you the CEO, or are you the owner of your business, or do you just have a job, right? Focus on the entire business, not just the technical work. Excel at leadership, not doership. So even if you don't own your own business, but you're a professional in your field, you should really be leading yourself. And if you have anybody that's under you, you should be leading them and not doing everything. So delegating is not lazy, it's leverage, so that you're doing the things that you need to do. Right. So it's the difference between being efficient and effective. Efficient is just getting things done. Right. Effectiveness is getting the right things done at the right time with the right people for the right reasons, and so on and so forth. So the first thing we're going to tackle is managing your time. I love this this quote. The bad news is time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot. So we talk about Pareto's principle, and some of you may have heard of this, but it's the 80-20 rule. Does anybody know what that is? If you do, just unmute and you know, let it go. Nobody's familiar with the 80-20 rule?
Hey, Rick, it's Joe.
I knew you'd come in, Joe. You're amazing, brother. See, I told you, I put Joe into these just so that he could go and do that. You are the ultimate shill, brother. So,
well, considering we just went over this 2 days ago, right?
Yes,
I should know it, right?
And I know you do. So
Yeah.
if you want to share with everybody what the vital few are and what the 80-20 rule is, that would be great.
20% of our time equals 80% of results. I mean, just like the screen says, it's, you know, it's that's where the effort should be placed on that 20%.
That's perfectly said. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. So it's the vital few and really the trivial many. The trivial many is the 80% of you know, the things that we kind of seem to focus on, which would get us 20% of the results. But really, if we focus on the vital few, which are the things that we're doing to be effective in our business and in our days and how we're structured, we're going to find that 20% of the effort is going to lead to 80% of the results. Whatever the tactics look like for you, that's how you do it. And it could be anything. It could be how you start your day. All right. Do you start with the toughest task, or like me, do you go with the easiest tasks? And that's how I start my day. Low hanging fruit. I will go and just answer some emails and kind of flow into the day. And then at some point, I'll tackle what is the biggest project that I have for the day. You have to see what it looks like for you. Is part of that 20% of the effort marketing? And we're going to talk about marketing today. Is it networking? Is it things like that? I see Murtaza is on here, and Murtaza is at pretty much every event that the chamber has. He's like a super chamber business member. And so that's 20% of Murtaza's effort to be here. Okay. And 80% of the results is he's become an influencer. People know who he is. They know what he's about. And it's really because he is building relationships. And I think that is probably one of the most important things that we do. When I'm talking with John, you know, we were supposed to meet before the pandemic and stuff like that. And this is where it is. We just kind of rekindled that relationship. He saw that I was going to be doing this today, and he jumped on because, you know what, we missed an opportunity that wasn't really our fault. And so now we're going to kind of double around and do that. So how to grow your business, right? Create and keep customers. And that goes with the hiring process as well, because it's all about retention today, because hiring is so impossible, for lack of a better term. So we're going to talk about marketing. And what is marketing? All the things that you see on the screen. It's advertising, it's promotion, price, it's analysis, it's all those things wrapped up. And that really equals marketing. So you have to have the right tools to get the right clients and the right customers, okay? And who your target customer is. Selling versus marketing. So if you're selling, that's one-to-one, and you're converting leads into customers. So that's more of a longer process. But marketing is one-to-many education and generating qualified leads, right? And so most of us engage in some kind of marketing and networking, things like that. You could classify yourself in the sales process in one of two ways. You can either be a hunter, where you just aggressively go after prospects and try to convert them, or you can be a farmer and build relationships and do it that way. I consider myself a farmer. When we do networking and things like that, we're not selling, we're building relationships, we're meeting people. When you're networking, it's not about you, it's about the other person. So you have to show that you care enough to enter their world. 5 ways to grow a business. And these hold true, in these times and, pre and post, whatever it is. And it's keeping the customers that you have, attracting new customers, increasing your average transaction size, which is tough for people to raise the price on something because they feel that they may lose the sale. Increase the frequency of your purchase and say no to bad customers and bad prospects. And that sounds kind of counterproductive, but we're going to talk about that for a moment. So keeping the customers that you have, increase the value that you offer. Survey your customers. Ask them, how are we doing? How can we do better? I invited some coaches from across the country to be here. They've seen this before, they're skilled and they do this, but I'd love for them to tell me how I can get bigger, better, stronger, faster, and smarter so that I can be of more value to you, right? And it just makes sense. Communicate often. Here's something crazy. Use the phone. Call people and touch base with them, not just a text. Do it in person. If you do email blasts, do it in email, newsletters, seminars like this, carrier pigeon, whatever it is that you use, do something, right? But communicate with them. Let them know that you're there and that you care about what it is that they have to say. Again, the Chamber is a wonderful platform for all of us to engage with, use the tools that they have there for us so that you can be seen, you can be heard. It gives you a voice, and everybody is really not alone. And it's really easy to feel alone when you're in business. It could feel like you're out there in Jupiter, and it just isn't so. There's so many people that will really help you. All you have to do is know where the resources are and just get it, right? And that's really what it is. Nothing proved that more during the pandemic was the Chamber had so many resources. You didn't have to be a Chamber member. It didn't matter. If you were in business, if you just needed help, they were there. And so one of the most powerful things, and Joe, I'm going to share this, and I hope that's okay. I'm not crossing a line, but when the pandemic hit, and so Joe and his team at State Farm called every one of their customers, every one of their former customers, and even people that were in the pipeline, and they simply said, we're just doing a check-in and we just want to make sure that you're okay and if you need anything. And they were talking about food, services, things like that. Never once did Joe or his team sell anybody. They just showed that they cared enough to enter their world. Was it a sales tactic? No. It was a character and integrity exercise because that's what they're about. And so people knew that. And so that's really, really important. The Chamber, they would do reach outs all the time. Why? Were they trying to get new Chamber members? I don't think so. It was because they wanted to show that they cared, right? Because we're all part of a bigger community. It's bigger than us, right? And it has to be. So again, know what your attrition rate is and improve it. When they leave, do an exit survey. What could we have done better? Things like that. How to win new customers. This seems to be a challenge for a lot of people. And so, we can't look at ourselves as a commodity. We have to be perceived as different, special. Why are you the destination for whatever the product or service is that people are looking for? And you have to ask yourself that question, right? It's almost rhetorical, but you have to go and kind of go in on yourself and say, what does that look like for me? Have a UVP or a USP, which is a unique value proposition, a unique selling proposition. What's the most compelling benefit or advantage? What's your, we can all read. I'm just going to narrow it down. What's your wow factor? Okay. What makes you that wow? When you go into a grocery store, okay, if you go into the foyer area, the automatic door doesn't work or it goes halfway. There's no carts there for you. The foyer area is dirty. There's flyers littered around. The floor is dirty. And you walk in and you've already got kind of a dismal taste about what it is. There's no wow factor. And ask yourself, and why when you go into a grocery store, do you hit the produce department 90% of the time first? Why? Anybody know? Why do you hit the produce department first? Go ahead, Chris.
This is probably not the right answer, but I hit it first because it's the first thing I see when I walk in the door.
So I guess I should ask the question a little differently. Why is the produce department positioned as the first thing that a customer hits when they walk into the store?
Because it's the first thing I'm going to throw out that I didn't eat.
Because you don't like your vegetables, and so you are unhealthy, and so that's a whole nother question. If we have any health coaches here, I'd like Chris to sort.
Sorry, Rick.
It's because it's fresh, it's got great color, it comes from all over the world. There's different scents and experiences that go with that, right? So that's your first impression. That's the wow factor walking into the store. Your first experience with customer service usually is at the deli counter. Okay, not with anybody else, but unless you have a question for somebody that's in the store, but it's the deli counter. And what do they do at the deli? Well, the deli, they go and they ask you what you want, but they also offer you, they should be offering you a slice of whatever it is that you want. They should be cross-selling you and offering you a companion item. So if you just wanted ham and nothing else, we have cheese on sale for $2.99 a pound. Think, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll make the kids some grilled cheeses today. Pleasant, please, thank you, and move on and go on with the rest of your day. If you have a bad experience at the deli, you're probably not going to have a great taste in your mouth for what the rest of the store has to offer. So what is the wow factor? Increasing the size and frequency of the purchases. This really goes to the sales process completely. Raising prices is not an evil thing, okay? You know, look at everything is more expensive now. The supply chain is definitely skewed. So things are taking longer. There isn't as much of some products, and so prices are higher. Okay. So are you going to, if that's something that you do, say you're in construction, are you going to eat those costs? Or are you going to have to pass them on? Well, you're going to have to pass them on. And so a lot of people are hesitant to do that because they're afraid that they're going to lose the sale. And that just isn't so. It's kind of the way that it is, right? And you have to do that because you have to hit your gross profit and your margins. And so many people that I've spoken to in business and professions have no idea what their margins are. And so if you don't know what your margin is, let's have a conversation about how we can get you on track with at least earning what you should be earning. Upsell the customers, cross-sell customers. They do it in the, I'm going to go back to the grocery store. You go into aisle 5, it's the pasta aisle. They have the pasta, they have the sauces there, but what else is there? There should be a basket there with Italian bread or French bread or garlic bread. That's a cross-sell. That's an impulse buy. You pick that up. Why is the shake and bake next to the chicken? Because they go together, right? Like carrots and peas. I don't know. Whatever that looks like. Provide incentives. Look for repeat buying opportunities, okay? And here, this is, I want everybody to please write this down because this is so important. No matter what you're doing, I don't care if you're in the business, if you're selling a product or even a widget, let's say, make doing business with you fun, easy, and safe. And learn to say no. So we had the 80-20 rule, the 70-30 rule. Stay close to your top 30%, right? Because that's probably where most of your revenue is coming from. That's where your retention is coming from. And protect your time. And please, you know, learn to say no. And I can help with that as well. Learn to say no to bad prospects, bad clients, things like that. People that are going to be a time suck on you, people that are going to be vampires on your time. And so you can't be everything to everyone. And that isn't how it should go. And if you feel that you should, know that you really need the time for yourself and you have to protect the time that you have. Does that make sense? Right? Managing people effectively. Nobody is taught how to manage people. We're really good at what we do. So if you are in an organization, you usually move up because you're very good at what you do. You've got a proficiency for what that is. But if you have a team under you, you don't know how to manage these people. Nobody has taught you how to manage them. And no more glaring is this than in some churches. And why in churches? Does anybody know? So if we have, I'm going to use the example of a music ministry. Let's say that I play the organ extremely well and I sing like an angel. Neither of these is true. And so they say to me, the pastor says, Rick, I'd like you to go and take over the music ministry. We're going to pay you a stipend of X amount and whatever, and you're in charge of the Sunday band and the music ministry and the choir. And I say, great. And so I have no idea how to schedule. I have no idea how to manage the people, right? Which is really what it's about. I'm more about managing the organ and the sheet music, and I don't know how to manage the people. And so that's where a gap usually ends up being. And so people challenges are commitment, right? How do we get them to commit? How did we get them to embrace the culture of what it is that is our organization? How do we motivate them? How do we have them trust whatever that is? Trust the process, which seems cliche, but it's trust the process, trust you, right? And loyalty. And let's go back to trust for a second. Simon Sinek said this, and it's so true. People buy from who they trust and who they like. That's who they're going to engage with. And it's so important. And so when we have these people challenges, developing leaders, creating a culture of accountability. I just started coaching a business. They're new to me, but they've been in business for a couple of years. And he said, I have a gap. He says, I can't hold people accountable. And it's a restaurant out in New Jersey. And I said, what's the challenge? Why can't you do it? He says, Rick, he says, I'm a great leader. He says, but I'm a horrifying manager. He says, I just can't manage. I said, that makes sense. He says, can you help me? So I can help you help yourself, and I can give you strategies on how you can do that effectively, for sure. Right. And it starts with creating a culture of accountability, culture of trust, a culture of teamwork. And so that is something that absolutely is critical for any organization, because you can have the right people, but if you don't have the right culture, there's a saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You could have the best strategy, but if you don't have a good culture, you're not playing long ball, and you're just basically putting a Band-Aid over something that needs a bigger dressing on it, right? So how to develop leaders, what the position description is, what the role is for everybody, creating and using a management system, so a CRM, a customer management survey or system rather, finding the right people for the right jobs, right? And how to improve performance. So one of the things that falls by the wayside when we have a business and things start to get a little tough is training. We don't train the newer associates like we should. We kind of throw them in the deep end and say, well, swim or not. But then you have the retention kind of carousel where it costs a company thousands, and I'm talking thousands of dollars to replace somebody because that's what they're doing. They have no good retention. So those are people challenges: commitment, motivation, trust, and loyalty. Cash flow. This is something that always stuns me about businesses that, and I don't usually have businesses open their books for me, but I do ask questions of where you are, where you want to be. Do you know what your margins are? And do you know how much you have in the account? I even have to know what it is. They don't even know. A lot of businesses have no idea how much they have in their account. So one of the things, know your numbers, have cash reserves, get cash moving, negotiate, and manage cash. So when we talk about know your numbers, set goals for your revenue. Just don't fly by the seat of your pants. Know what your accounts look like, not monthly, know what they look like daily. Okay, it takes 2 seconds to take a look at what's going on. Know what your cash reserves are. Nothing proved that we need cash reserves for businesses more than what's happened in the last year plus, right? And so if you didn't have cash reserves going in, okay, but you really should be building just for the unexpected, because the unexpected should be kind of expected, right? Get cash moving. And what does that mean? One of the things that stuns me is people know what their payables are, but they don't know what their receivables are. They are owed so much money, but they find that they don't have the time to go and invoice people, right? Or the process that they're using is so 1974, right? And they're still invoicing people back from 30, 40 years ago, that they're not getting the cash that they need when they need it. Okay. So many of the businesses have probably an average of, I would say, $15,000 to $20,000 just floating out there that they haven't collected. Not that people don't want to pay them, that they just haven't billed them because they felt that they haven't had the time, because they're wearing every hat in their business. Negotiate. The worst that somebody can say is no. So negotiate everything. It doesn't hurt to ask. and manage your cash. And so avoid those hidden charges and late fees, and stay current on your expenses and your commitments. Who here has goals? Just click the icon or raise your hand. John, you have goals. Everybody should be raising their hand. So you don't have to share what your goals are, but it really, like Napoleon Hill said, right, they're the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. If you don't write it down, right, and keep it in front of you, then it's just a dream, right? If you write it down, it becomes tangible. It's something that you can wrap your arms around. That's something that you can have in front of you, and you know that you have to go and craft some strategy to go for that. And how do we do that? Well, we talked about 90-day goals. So we're going to talk about SMART goals. Joe Ronco, I know you know what SMART goals are. Does anybody else know what SMART goals are? Don't be afraid. SMART goals are a way that, go ahead, John.
Something you could probably reach, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a strategic process of how to get your goals. And so SMART stands for, and it's up on the screen, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So that's how you should be structuring your goals. Not painting broad strokes. I want to increase revenue this year. Okay. Specific. How much do you want to increase your revenue? I want to increase my revenue by 10%. Okay. 10%. That's a good number to increase it by. How are you going to do that? How are you going to measure it? Okay. So how are you going to measure that? You're going to do it, and you're going to take a look at what that looks like every day, month, week, whatever that looks like. But what are you going to do to attain that? Is it too high in the sky, like pie in the sky? Is it attainable? Did you set the bar too high? And worse, did you set the bar too low, so you just step over it? Is it realistic? How are you going to do that? So if you're saying increase revenue, let's just say that you make cars, okay? How are you going to increase revenue? You're going to measure it. You want to have 20 more cars on the production line than you did last year at this time. So how are you going to do it? What makes it attainable and realistic? All right. Well, and how are you going to measure success? Well, a couple things. Maybe you're going to improve your equipment. So you're going to upgrade your assembly line. And even as important is, maybe you're going to do a different training program so that you can go and do some things that maybe are more niche things, so that you can get those 20 extra cars done. And then timely. So is it time bound? What's the time stamp on this? Is it in quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, Q4, whatever that looks like? Put a timestamp on it, and that's where you're going to use the measurable things to see if we're hitting it. Whether it's a goal, baking cars, selling your product, selling your service, and then where are you putting your energy in, right? When you go and circle it around, where would you put your energy? And a lot of your energy should really go into taking a look at where you are, into training, things like that. The one thing you don't want to do is get caught in the tall grass and major in minor things. So you have to do these 4 things. You have to name it and claim it. So write your goal down, put it in SMART goal style. Don't major in the minor things. Use discipline, have some stick-to-itiveness to it, and then focus your energy on efforts that are high priority, high value activities. The difference between being efficient and effective. Efficient, just doing things and getting them done and hitting timelines. Effective is doing the right thing at the right time with the right people for the right reasons. Somebody that's building a house, okay, I'm going to use construction for a second. So if they say they're going to have the house done in a month, right? Whatever it is they're doing, and they have it done, they do it in a month. Okay. You hit your timeline, you were good for your word and everything else. That's being efficient. Being effective, there's going to be a punch list, right? But how deep is that punch list? Because if you have allocated a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of resources for a punch list to go back there, let's just say twice, okay, just because, right? But you are so caught up in the minutia of just getting it done that you have to go back there 4 times. The third and the fourth time, all you're doing is bleeding revenue because that's something that you didn't plan for. So that's going to come right off of your margin. And we're talking time, not even materials. We're talking time, right? And so everything goes with your energy, and the time that you're going back on a job 2, 3, 4 times more than you thought is taking away from any future projects that you had coming up. Does that make sense? So ask yourself, what do you want your business and personal life to look like in a year? What do you want it to look like in 3 years? And what are you going to have to do to get there? Okay. That's what I got for you today. Those are the strategies. So I do promise a one-to-one with anybody who wants to engage with that. But do you have any questions?
Any questions for Rick? Okay, well,
What's your biggest takeaway from today? Murtaz, I'm looking at you.
My biggest takeaway is the SMART goals and how you need to be able to measure your goals. It can't just be, hey, I just want to have a goal. It has to be measurable. So thanks for that, Rick. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that EBC Printing does to set SMART goals and precedents? And so I was just at your offices last month for a meeting, and you weren't there, unfortunately, but you know, what a wonderful operation that you have, and you have a wonderful conference room and a great team there. So what are some of the things that you do? How do you lead from the front on that?
I think the main thing, Rick, is providing value to our clients. Without providing any value, there's really no need to be in business, especially for a small business. Just like you said, we need to be able to differentiate ourselves. Myself, I'm in the printing and signs business, and there's a ton of printers out there, a ton of sign companies, even in the e-commerce space. You see the Vistaprints of the world. So how does a small guy like myself differentiate themselves? And that takes a lot of planning, a lot of process. Those SMART goals, Rick, that you mentioned are so important. So what we did with our e-commerce website is, in order to provide value to our clients, we built a design feature within the website where any client that orders any printed or signage item, the design feature is complimentary. So let's say if somebody wants to order a business card or a brochure or a banner, they can go in to our website, and it's kind of like an inbuilt Canva where they could design themselves, and it's completely complimentary. Think about it. You know, a lot of small businesses, when they are, you know, paying for graphics design, it's in the hundreds, if not even in the thousands of dollars for graphics design services. So value items like that go a long way.
Absolutely. No, that's entirely true. And I want to talk about networking for a moment. And Murtaza is, I'm gonna say Murtaza is a master networker, and so many people here do networking. But are you getting really, and I'm just asking this, you know, kind of generally to everybody, are you getting the return on your investment? Whether it's the price of being in a networking group or the time that you're taking, right? So you can go and you can walk out of a networking event and you can have cards, you know, business cards galore, okay? And so what do you turn out to be? You're a collector, okay? I have a lot of business cards, right? But I'll tell you what I do with them. And I'd like to hear what you do with all the business cards that you may collect from a networking event. Maria from Career College Counselors, you've been in my workshop before. I know that you network quite a bit. Would you want to maybe share some of your strategy of what you do? How do you get traction out of networking? And I know you're in probably 2 or 3 different networking groups at least, right? And that's probably me being very subtle about things, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot for calling me out. I have to say that your SMART, just kind of saying your SMART goals, they're perfect. as a teacher, retired teacher, that's exactly what we had to do with our lesson plan. So, I know that that is absolutely positively true. Networking, I have to tell you that I am not the greatest networker. I think I'm basically, I know it's hard to believe, I was a teacher, and I'm basically shy and don't do well in large groups. I've tried the big networking pieces, and I did the collecting of the cards. As you said, we're all good at collecting of the cards. And I used to, and that's what I'm saying to you, I don't go to the big ones anymore, but I used to then reach out, write a personal handwritten note to them, going through and telling them it was a pleasure meeting with them and I'd like to do a sit down, or, how can I be of service to you? So I always say that, to make sure that I want to know them a little bit better and how I can better serve them. I haven't, very honest with you, I haven't had much success. The networking groups, I think sometimes my area is so specialized that everybody thinks that they can do the Mr. Google piece of it. They don't need a professional, if you will, to walk them through the college and career process. So I'm being very honest, I'm fighting that uphill battle. So for better or for worse, I do belong to several networking groups. I lead one of them, which is kind of fun. I'm having them also starting to write goals, very important, and so that we're working in the same position. But I know I've over answered your question, so that's about it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for participating in that, Maria. And so, what are some strategies that we have that Maria and yourself could probably employ to level up in the networking? Because no matter what you think or what anybody's told you, networking is crazy hard, right? Even if you're an extrovert, and I'm not, you would be surprised to learn I'm an introvert. Okay, yeah. And so is networking hard for me? Yes and no. Is there anxiety with it for me? No. But is there strategy that needs to be employed for it? Yes, absolutely. And so I do a lot of networking and I lead a lot of networking, but it's not easy, Maria. And so there is strategy that we can use. And I'm going to go back to kind of what Murtaza had said about differentiating yourself. Right? Because you said, Mr. Google can go and you don't need that person that, for a college career counselor. People do, right? It's the difference between having, we talk about this when I coach, having Progressive or State Farm. Do you want to just have somebody that you don't know on the line, or do you want to have somebody that's actually going to care enough to enter your world? They're going to be accessible to you and they're going to help you walk with you on that path. Same thing with Murtaza. He mentioned Vistaprint, right? Why Murtaza, not Vistaprint, right? Is Vistaprint cheaper? I'm sure in some ways that it is. But do you get the same quality that Murtaza is going to do? Do you get that white glove service? Absolutely not even close. And so that's really where it kind of goes. What are some other strategies that we would have to offer to ourselves and to Maria, how to get bigger, better, stronger, faster, and smarter as a networker? Go ahead, Murtaza. You don't have to raise your hand. Just jump in, brother.
No, I think, Rick, one of the ways that we can, progress and grow our businesses and organizations is to surround ourselves with good people, talented people who can really be the backbone of our companies. That, for me, that has really helped me to be out there in the community. And actually, that was a decision made by my team. They kind of fired me from my job of running the printing press and, working on the sign machine, and said, Murtaza, you need to be out there in the community. And I was like, are you sure? No, nobody wants to see a bald guy out there, so, but they said, no, we want you to be out there as the company leader, and you can count on us to be a reliable resource for our clients back at home at the shop.
So that's a strategy in and of itself. And Chris Yarnell, he was rubbing his bald head also, because I know that, bald is beautiful, right, guys? So, I've got a lot of hair, and so I don't think I'm going to be in your realm for a while, and so have at it. But to your point, absolutely. That's one way to definitely level up. How about CRMs? Okay, keep track of who you are talking to, but that's working. Murtaza's team pushed him out, not because he wasn't good at what he does, right? But they encouraged him to work more on his business, not in the business. That's how the business grows. That's how the business goes, right? And so that's really important. One of the other things that you may want to do as a networker is, the notes are good and everything else, and that's fine, but it's the follow-up. The sales process is so long. After one or two times, especially if you identify somebody as a prospect that you really want to pursue, that would be your ideal client or your ideal customer, and you want to build a relationship with that person, or at least do the most important thing is have them as a referral partner for you. Okay, who do you know that has somebody that might be going into college, right? You have to talk to them not once, not twice, not thrice, but most of the sales and the relationships are built on the 8th to 12th time. That's a true stat. And so you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and not just kind of dropping it, and which is easy to do and saying, well, this isn't working, and so I guess that I'm just going to move on, because really we can keep doing it and not get anywhere. So definitely, I'd love to have a conversation with you, Maria, since you've been in a couple of them and you taught at my old school, right? Maybe we can employ some strategy for you, right? But any other questions? Any other comments? Any other takeaways?
Alrighty. Well, Rick, thank you so much for your presentation. I have so many notes here that I cannot wait to put into effect. And I absolutely loved your reverse Q&A little portion here. That was amazing. So if anyone has any other questions or comments that they'd like to say before we end today? No?
I'd like to say thank you. And I look forward to getting together with you, Rick. In the coming weeks.
Absolutely. It's so good to see you. I really, this has been great. What a great day.
Nice to see you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that is all the time we have for today. Please feel free to contact myself. I'm Kaya Jenkins with the Chamber, or today's speakers for any specific questions. I know Rick will be reaching out to all of you today, and you will be receiving a follow-up email with playback link information for this presentation to share with your contacts or to watch again yourself. So thank you so much for joining us today. The Pocono Chamber is here to serve you for all your business needs. So feel free to call our office at any time at 570-421-4433. Well, have a wonderful day, everyone, and I hope we get to see you in person or virtually soon.
Thanks, everybody.